Yes, ma'am.
So I guess as far as like doing the math, like if you multiply 48 units times $675 and then multiply it out by 12, it looks like the apartments would generate about $400,000 a year. And then I don't know what the commercial space would rent at, but let's say that it's like $500,000 a year. Then what is the payback on, I mean, like, if it costs $7 million, I don't know if there's if there's an idea, and I know a lot of things you don't know for sure, but is there a ballpark of how much money they'll bring in and how much it costs? Because it looks like it looks like maybe the numbers, I don't know that they match up, or have you really looked at?
Ask about how much the tax credits would
The
generate.
math's not that simple.
It
It'd be
looks
really
like a
tough to
pretty
get
big
into
risk, I
explaining
guess,
how
from my
tax credits work
standpoint.
and how tax credit investor comes in. We can maybe do, I don't know, I mean, people spend years learning exactly how that works, and trying to explain that here tonight would be too difficult.
Okay.
Pricing
just-
changed a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
again last year too.
Because the election pricing of the tax credits is different than it was in October. A lot of factors, a lot of moving parts.
Okay.
Are you gonna change the name of the coal yard to the brownfield yard? Is that gonna change too?
Now, want that to be the past.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Assuming everything gets approved and the tax credit, is there a anticipated groundbreaking for when the project will actually get started being built after all of the groundwork is, the brownfield stuff?
We hope to start in the fall.
And then what, within another 12 months? or-
Yeah, but
Yeah.
12 months
Nine.
construction.
So what are the tax credits expected to generate for Third Street Ventures?
What do you mean by that? What do
How
they
much?
generate for us?
Yeah,
How much?
We don't buy the tax credits.
I know you don't, you sell them.
Well, we don't sell them. That development right there sells them.
That development sells them. Who gets the
It'll-
money?
That equity will come in, I don't know, like hopefully 70% of the project cost, 70-80%. And that is speculative as well.
Right.
It could come in higher, it could come in lower.
Well, I think Laura wanted to know what would be the project cost then.
I think we were estimating about 7 million.
Yes, total, yes.
7 million, okay.
Because I guess that's what I'm wondering is how is it gonna generate $7 million? How is the, like,
Between the rent and
the bit between the rent and the commercial space, it just seems like,
It's not like a loan, and that's how you're thinking about it?
okay.
Yeah, I get,
Yeah.
where's the disconnect, Laura?
she's getting 6.
It seems like there's not gonna be enough income coming in to cover the project. Like if you have a $7 million project, then it seems like you'd have to make at least $7 million to cover it, but you're saying
Yeah,
that
no,
you don't.
we've ran the probably 30, 40, 50 scenarios of all this, and we're comfortable with what it could potentially be. It's really, actually, like we said, it generates the most investment dollars we could put into a project. And because of all these issues we've understood with drainage, site, brownfield, there's a lot of parking to pay, a lot of underground stuff to do. This helps cover that, and what we think is add a great property or asset to the neighborhood for people that are engaged in, if it's the community space, the commercial space, or moving in as a resident. So it's the mechanism to just bring in the most dollars. And we've done every underwriting, we've gone through the materials, priced it out, done takeoffs, and we still won't know. So,
And I'm gonna just follow up to my mail with that. I think as I'm asking myself, why are you asking the question? And I feel like one of the reasons you might be asking the question, I think the room would want to know, given the history of the project, of this site, is that there's enough money in it from a business perspective for you guys that you're not going to walk away and then we're going to be sitting here 2 or 3 years from now talking to another set of developers
Yeah.
about the same thing. Is that fair?
Well, no, I guess, right, I'm
That's
a
your
small
question.
business person as well, and obviously you guys
want to know
play
how
a
their
much
math
bigger.
works so you can apply to your business
guys-
and make money.
Well, no, I mean, you guys play in a much bigger sandbox than I do for sure, and so I'm just trying to kind of, you know, like, a good friend, Scott Irons, always says, do the math, you know? And when the math doesn't exactly work out, then I'm like confused as
Yeah,
to,
so
I guess
you wanna
what's in
generate
it
through the
for
tax
you?
credits, you wanna generate a lot of equity when you syndicate and sell them like we just talked about, and minimize the amount of debt on it, and then operate it efficiently. So there are, you know, half that revenue that you penciled out goes to expenses at least.
right?
And then our goal is to minimize debt on the project and make it something where it can't harm the owners for the long term. So it's a really good project. We talked about materials, long-term materials, same with the financing of it. So really, our goal is to generate as much equity, which minimizes the debt. So then we have a very low mortgage.
So,
And can operate the building properly, and paint it, and take care of it, and do all the landscape and the maintenance and everything that is involved with
Because you
it.
won't
That's how
own
it
it.
works. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's how it works.
Which is why we, as a neighborhood, should, sounds like, be confident that if this all works out, that you guys are going to have enough resources to
You
follow
want to set
through
this
and
up,
get
so,
all the
you
way
know, there's
down.
reserves, there's operating reserves, there's minimal debt, and just, so we weigh all that out, and that, like Jared said, we've looked at B and C and D, the ways to fund this project.
So then, but will there be another management company, or
So
you guys
we'll
get?
work with the same group that does your everything loss, Mark III Management.
Uh-huh.
They're on site, and then we have other properties that we work with Mark III Management on as well, and they are, I don't know, a 30-year-old business, second generation.
Yes, sir.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but to people that haven't been told or whatever, it works out financially because your tax credits that you sell won't ever have to be paid back. So 4 to 5 million, somewhere in there, won't have to be a mortgage.
Exactly. That's-
Only 2 to 3 million
Yeah.
will be money that
yes.
you have to come up with separately, or another investor that will be paid back with a smaller mortgage. So it will be viable and not go bankrupt or sit vacant for 20 years because of money.
I do have a question on the site design as far as the green space. I know, on the new design as far as, can you show me where the green spaces are located and if they are in accordance with the variance, or if that's a variance that you will have to ask for?
So we intend to meet the ordinance as far as planting trees and requirements that the city requires. We haven't fully engaged. Anderson Dolander is the landscape architect for the project. We work with them a lot at Blackline. They did all of the East 10th Street Super Bowl redesign stuff, and they've done a number of really nice projects, in my opinion. I think that, you know, while the site has a lot of parking, as that's what everyone seemed to want, the area that does still remain open is this kind of piece on the end, which I think may have some landscape design component, but we probably also want to preserve part of that as kind of a community garden type space. And then I think that there will be a more sophisticated landscape design for the Bonnet Avenue front. We've been talking about a location to maybe have a public art piece, and we think that probably one of these entrance pieces to put a piece of public art, because it would work more as a kind of a landmark on the Pennsy Trail, rather than actually like sticking something onto the building. That's what we're planning from a site perspective, but until the project moves forward, we won't actually hire Anderson Bolander to come and do the design work.
In the, from where I'm sitting, the southeast corner, there was some sort of concrete structure.
By Inhabit,
No,
That's like the playground productions.
By
You
the
know,
back.
South
here were
Kelsey.
the green spaces, above the green space.
dumpster probably, dumpster enclosure.
Further, right there. Oh, is that what it is? Okay.
Right. Anybody have any more questions?
I have
Yes,
one
ma'am.
last question, or maybe not last, but, I still don't understand from the very beginning that these are market, or these are not market rate, but you said if it doesn't go through, they will be market rate, and I don't understand why you don't make it market rate from the beginning if that's Plan B, why can't it be Plan A?
Plan B may or may not have market rate. Plan C may be all market rate. You can combine market rate and affordable units in the same project, and we're underwriting it a couple different ways. So Plan A is income restricted, but after that, it could be a combination of other things.
I thought at one of the meetings it was, we were told that it couldn't be both.
It could be both. It could be all market rate. It could be all affordable. Right now, the current plan that we're proceeding with is that it's all affordable.
Not knowing what may happen in the future, my experience with other real estate developers is that to do a project like this in market rate requires many more units to make it work.
Exactly.
Many more units. This piece of land downtown would have 150 units on it.
So what, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Do you think, I assume that the upstairs units are only accessible through the different stair
Interior
towers.
corridors.
Right.
Yes.
Does do the corridors go all the way through, or will some of the doors give access to only some of the units? Because I was looking at the sort of aerial view of it and thinking, well, if I lived there and I could get to my unit through any of those doors, I would automatically park in the closest door to probably to the entrance to minimize traffic getting in and out of the parking lot. And then walk to my unit from there. But I don't know, maybe, can you get to everyone upstairs through any of the doors? Or is it restricted
So
access?
there will be a main kind of lobby that goes from Vaughn Avenue and goes also to the back of the building. And that's where the mailboxes will be located, that's where the bike room will be located, that's where the amenity center, the little exercise room will be located. So the building is an L shape. Can you show an aerial? And so this area, the most inefficient part of an apartment building is this space back here. So the entrance to the building on the street will be from here, and then this area will also have an entrance in the back. So it's the circulation, there'll be a corridor here that goes to that staircase, and then there'll be a corridor down the middle that goes to that staircase. So it's pretty easily accessible from any side of the building. Likely the stair corridors will either have some kind of fob access, so that if someone parks in the back and they're closer to that end, they can just go in that stair tower closer to their apartment. But this is a pretty small length of corridor compared to some of the others that we've developed. So I think.
So my question is, what are you gonna do to encourage people to drive all the way around the parking path?
I don't know how they're gonna plan this, but they may assign parking spaces, numbered spaces, and have assigned parking spaces, and then keep those spaces in the back. That's one way to do it, but
So returning to the finances of this, how much would the rent be for a single unit? And or if I'm gonna rent one of those, what's it gonna cost me? And is there a subsidy that you would also receive for the rental of that unit, in addition to whatever a renter pays?
We could share the area median income, the breakdown $675 a month is on the high end. And I think the average rent would probably be about $500 a month, $550. And we don't receive settlement. All the tenants are paying their utility bill direct, usually electric. And some of the other stuff is covered in the rent, and then the rent's paid direct from the tenant. So,
And there's no additional government subsidy to that, okay.
yes, ma'am.
You know, I think I speak for a lot of people that we love Irvington, and it's a charming neighborhood, and that's one of the reasons that we're here. And I don't have anything against I Do. Margaret has been super helpful, and she has spent a lot of time meeting with me and a lot of her time trying to explain to me how this works. And Najim too has been terrific. I guess what we build here is going to be here as long as we live. I mean, as long as we are in this neighborhood. And so I guess I just want to, you know, is this being a good steward of Irvington? Is this looking ahead, you know, 10 years from now, 50 years from now? Because a building like this will last a long, long time. And so it's just a big decision to make about if this is what we really want in our neighborhood.
No. I can say that I would rather have this than what we have now.
We've been there 31 years. How long do we have to wait?
I have one question, and it's for you two. Is after the 15 years, who owns it then? And who maintains it after the 15 years and you guys walk away?
So it's our same group. It's really the 15 years is more directed towards the tax credit investment.
All right.
So you will continue to own it after the 15 years?
Most likely, yeah.
Unless
I
they
don't
sell
think-
it.
I don't think we
Unless
sell it. Yeah.
they sell it.
In
And
15
I don't want to
years,
speculate, but I don't think we sell it.
in 15 years, it can go market rate, correct?
You have to ask, and it's very subjective again. It's typically 30 years.
And what will I Do's part be after 15 years?
It depends on if it's a tax credit, then we'll be a part of the ownership and, team and decide whether or not we stay or if, or not.
So after 15 years, there's no guarantee you would be involved in.
15 years, there's no guarantee I'm gonna live in my house anymore.
15 years, she might not be alive.
However,